Hello, 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 whoever came. Just to start this conversation that I was planning to do a little bit later with Mike Ferreira, but still, we might have not, uh, we might not have enough time for it, obviously. So I decided to briefly do some information today and also respond to one of these meltdown. Um, as you can see in description, I wrote it clear. So I was let me show you. I was kind of, let's see. Yeah, I was contacted by many melted buildings, meltdown, whatever you call it, theory followers. I don't want to share all this stuff, but one of them that I blocked today, obviously after all that he said about me, one of them sent me this message. Okay, and it says like, look, I'm not an expert or even an advocate for melted buildings theory, but there is some evidence that is quite convincing. Check out this guy's page. This is just one of many that make you wonder WTF happened here and what is this? So let us go here and we see this. Okay, so I wrote to him, this is BS. Look closely. It's not a building, nor it's melted. Melted looks vitrified. WTF happened here? A guy is misinforming his subscribers. Okay, so that's my personal opinion. I didn't want to prove anything at that point, just said my opinion. Okay, so he wanted me to answer, I answered. So now he making screenshots. I don't know why, and shows me that triangle shape is naturally formed then. Those columns are naturally formed, and showing me the example of something looking like this. Okay, and definitely resembles something like this has been melted and deformed and covered by other melted buildings. Okay, so that's the footage. Okay, he's comparing this beauty with this. Okay, um, and he shows another one. Look, so let's go to that post. And it says, look me in the eyes and tell me that's not a melted building. And it shows this face. Like whoever is not telling this in the melted building looks this way. So I decided to answer again. Imagine explanation for this melted building in my opinion. I'm saying deformed or put in footage to look that way. I see just another attempt to mislead. Integration clears the day. Can we chat briefly? So I'm asking that guy to call me because I was, ready to talk with him. And immediately he is like saying, you seem like a shill to me. There's hundreds of these photos. I'm saying, call me if you want to talk. If not, just get lost. He said, even on Google Images. You sure you wanted to talk? He said, we're talking now. You seem very narrow-minded and adamant about shutting down clear evidence. I'm saying, call or get lost. He's saying, I'm a shill. I'm saying, have a nice day. So that was the discussion. So I just wanted to take a look at this closely and therefore find the source of this image because it says Andrew Boykov 2012, so it's Russian guy. Well, anyways, I got this search results already. So that's not his. Here we go. Okay, so this is the search results for the same pictures, because somebody has to be original, right? And so I found this guy who actually is originally made this. His name is Andrew Boykov. So everybody stole his pictures actually, who reposted this stuff, and he's posting his photo travel from 2012 into Abkhazia, which is right now an independent and unrecognized, uh, unrecognized. Let's see, yeah, unrecognized republic. Okay, so we can scroll. Very interesting pictures of churches and a bunch of other things, like this, for example. So is this a melted building? Of course not. It's just a wall. Okay. And many other facilities, which are pretty old actually. And there's a bunch of these photos, and he probably entered each and every one which he could possibly go to a tour while visiting it. And he did a good job picturing a bunch of them. So we have to find that old picture. That's the picture. As you can see, the best resolution is original, so we better find the original. But if you look closely, you see that this type of masonry here, which is disconnected from the rock, you can clearly see these cracks, and this is disconnected. This is not the same thing. This is just like sealing the cracks with some masonry. The windows are different size because, as they say, I will tell you later, as they say, this is just for protection of this place, because it was a hideout. It was a medieval hideout, as they say. Well, I'm not actually buying all this medieval stuff, but we have to admit these small things are nothing but things to shoot from. One of them is for a gun, like you have a big gun, like a cannonball gun, and these are probably just for shooting, because actual entry is, I believe, this one right now. You cannot enter this place. This is a rock, so you have to climb. That's why nobody has pictures from inside. Nobody, because it's pretty hard to climb there, and you can only watch from the side. But it's well researched, because well, I'll tell you later when I read actually from the source. So even if you don't see anything as same building, they can say, look, this is a melted signs. Look at this stuff, like black stuff here, but it's not a glaze. It's clear and visible that it's not shining back, although enough light could be reflected. It's not reflecting the light, so it's not a glaze. It's clear that it's not a glaze, and the inside is not black. So that's just I would say just due to rain, because it's a mountain right now. So I don't think water is very good explanation for this, but it's the best that I got right now, because we don't have enough evidence to claim that it's not water, but it looks like it can be water. It's nothing melted because it doesn't look glazed, and so on. Okay, so let's research a little bit more deeper and find out the best evidence that this is not a melted building if we know what is inside, and inside is also not a building, because if that was a building, you would have, some corridors, doors, and stuff like this. So, like, the outer stuff is melting. Some safe part for some no for no reason just left unmelted is what they claim. Because everywhere they see the melted buildings, they see those doors and windows, and they claim like, "Oh, this is a melted building," not even thinking about that could be carved or something or anything. Like they just claim that's a melted building. That's it. So let's say it's a melted building. It's supposed to have some facilities inside, right? Not just uncertain, non non-formic something like like a cave, a natural form, or I don't know. We call it mining waste, mining evidence. Uh, Somebody calls it caves. So let's check it out if I'm wrong or right about that. Okay, let's see. Coming back to this. So I found this website. Um, it's translated Rock Monastery in the village of Athara, a cave shelter of antiquity. A long time ago, monastery in the rock appeared near the ancient village of Athara. This is unusual hermitage, of which there are many scattered of the lands of Abkhazia, but rocky and impregnable, a bit reminiscent of bird's nest carved out in the thickness of the mountain. So even them saying carved out. Okay. Most often tourists go to Athara because of two attractions, a rock monastery in Abkhazia and a trout farm. Well, of course, for sake of delightful nature, clean air, and the breathtaking sense of dense boxwood forests. Blah, blah, blah. So, um, numerous rooms recessed in the karst rock appeared in these places a very long time ago, several centuries ago, presumably the 11th century, but this is a very approximate date. If you believe the hypothesis, then before the monks came here, in the case of Othara, local rulers tried to find shelter from frequent pirate raids. Apparently, they succeeded because the stone bags that make up the cave complex in Abkhazia are located at the height of 50 meters from the surface of the earth. The Adharsky Rocky Monastery as such appeared here much later than these events, but when exactly the monks settled in these caves, turning them into ascetic cells, or no one knows for sure. From under a huge mountain in which the monastery is inscribed, the piercing blue river Mshisha flows. Many consider the waters of this mountain stream to heal from all diseases. It is not known how much of this statement corresponds to the truth, but the fact that they are crystal clear is an absolute fact. So that supports, by the way, mining, because mining always, when you do mining, you do drilling a bunch of things like, where water can just flow eternally after that. So that explains how water can come from the mountains in the streams and also clear water. Okay. And they also show some pictures from it. We can see um, pretty much the same. As you can see, a bunch of trees growing on it, and so there's a bunch of vegetation that could actually give all this black color of moisture, or I would say, because some places like this is impossible, to be striped type of thing. If that's melted evidence, everything's supposed to be melted here, right? It's supposed to be not all those white stripes. And these black stripes and white stripes is just because somewhere water finds the way and somewhere water doesn't go, and it just bends over those places and never touches them. So I would say that'd be correct, because it's coming from above and it has a river. So that proves a lot, because water is always moisturizing the top of this thing. Okay, and one more view from this side also, doesn't show anything. So just caves, 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 and nothing else. And some cracks are filled with this masonry, which looks like a monastery. Okay, that's the river, that's the trout farm. Okay, so we read this source. Let's go to the other one. Which is let's see. You can translate it. I'll try to translate it myself. The cave complex of Athara represents the group of caves below the Bzybsky Mountains in Abkhazia, which is on the south of Caucasus, with questionable political status. It's located on a rock, approximately 20 kilometers northwest from the city of Gadaura. Caves are also known as caves of Nchishta because of this karst river, which flows from this rock. The holes, some holes are made artificially, some entries to this cave. So local legends and scientific hypotheses suppose that it had religious implementation in the Middle East, but exact meaning of this place is still non-proven and remains unknown. The entrance to the cave, located on a height of several meters above the surface, well, we've read like 50 meters, and located in several levels. Some of them have this is just not, because this is a complex of cave, not just that monastery. They're talking about that. So some have rectangular form, and some of them could be carved by people and faced with masonry, with rock masonry, which were put on some cement, type of ancient cement. Okay, limestone cement, they say. Okay, each and every of these caves represent very narrow rooms, 2 to 3 meters in width, but sometimes with height of up to 15 meters. So very strange. Some wooden details, probably for safety, also remained in those rocks, in those holes and cracks. According to local legends, in the caves, there were monks that were living in the caves, but later they were used by the gangsters as a hideout. In the second part of 19th century, in the second part of the 19th century, my thing, the nobleman from Athara, Mashat Shervanidze, led the group of local villagers and tried to research those caves. He succeeded to climb only on the first level. As reported, he found a couple of silver objects. Further future of those remains unknown right now. Only in 1958, those caves there were firstly researched with scientific methods by a group of specialists from Tbilisi, which is the capital of Georgia, nearby, not Georgia, USA, but Georgia, Caucasus. And with help of rock climbers, those professionals, They found objects which they date 13th, 14th century in some of those caves. Okay, so what we have to know about that, yeah, is we have to take a look at the caves of Mchishta, as they call it, as they call this river. They call this group of caves, including this monastery, a group of caves Mchishta. So I try to search for that and try to find out if anyone was inside of those caves, and you know, took a look. And I found this Russian Geographic Society, 14th January 2019 report from those caves. As you can see, pretty huge caves. I'm not sure which one of that, but this is not definitely not the one from the monastery, but it could be connected because this is a group of caves. So we can, just imagine if they were researched only in 1958, how much of that stuff is still remain unknown, because it's only 50 years, and for 200 years they haven't got there a bunch of times. Okay, Russian speleologists, during, let's see, as part of winter expedition, Russian cavers are exploring the Mchishta cave in the Garaura region of the Republic of Abkhazia. The trip was organized by members of Mchishta Research Society. The first stage of the expedition will last until January 20. During the New Year holidays, a participant in the trip, the diver Oleg Holodnyak, with the support of a group of speleologists, made 2 scuba dives into Abjda P1 cave, which presumably is part of Chishta hydraulic system, and conducted its topographic survey. According to the researchers, since the last measurements, the depth of the cave has increased by 27.4 meters. Moreover, there is a possibility that P1 can connect to the eastern branch of the Mchishta. So they got from the side. So this is how they, took a camp there. In addition, according to Evgeny, work has carried out in the entrance of hydraulic system from the side of Akshtash cave. In the part of the karst formation, the group of Alexander Konovalov managed to find a land passage to the source of a siphon of Peter the Great, which has been explored since 1988. At the level of Verkhnya Mchista, the group under the leadership of Evgeny Snetkov continues their research. And that's a small, remarks about this place. And Mchista cave in Abkhazia was discovered and first explored in 1976. So this is not exactly that same cave that we were talking about before, but that's the same group of caves. The entrance to the cave is located at the altitude of 80 meters above sea level, so it's a little bit on top of from that previous cave, which is 50 meters, from which flows the river of the same name, also known as Black River. So, as what I'm saying, river flows from that height. So that's impossible in real life, but it's impossible in mining. Chishta is the source of water intake for a significant part of Bzip Ridge, as well as one of the largest hydraulic systems in the world. What is it? Not that mining. It's mining, guys. It is surpassed only by the Maoki mountain range located on the border of Indonesia and Papua New Guinea. The territory is also known as Miklucha Maklai Coast. So it's like one of the biggest, one of the largest. Okay, the amplitude of these hydraulic systems reaches about 3 kilometers. Mchishta is not available for independent excursions. Exploration is possible only as path of an expeditionary group with the necessary equipment and a high level of physical fitness. Yeah, so this is not a joke, guys. It's not some Hollywood movie, man. It's one of the largest hydraulic cave systems in the world. It's it's not a building, guys. It's just a mining evidence everywhere. We're gonna talk about that with Mike Ferrer on Saturday. Join us and ask questions. Mike is ready to go, I think. Every winter, on the eve of New Year's holidays, Russian cavers and speleodivers divers come to the banks of the Cherna Rechka to explore Mchishta, its numerous entrances and siphons underwater tunnels completely filled with water. In general, expeditions to this area are carried out up to 7-8 times a year. They usually organized on public holidays in winter, spring, and autumn, if there are at least 3 days off in a row. But if local urgent ideas arise, the cavers will organize additional trips to the cave. So blah blah blah. So the cavers, the cavers, the cavers. Let's look at inside. As you can see, nothing like a melted building inside. And so I would say that's not a good evidence. We don't have inside of those monastery caves, but I bet they're looking the same because it's the same area, the same place, the same river, the same cave system, and it's kind of well known since the 80s, as what they say. So I would say um, this complete thing is pretty much proven right now. But we can also look at the pictures of people who are also traveling to this cave system and upload it. And this is Mchishta 2009 March. So nothing like a melted building, as you can see. But Mike Ferreira is going to tell you that this looks like electric mining evidence. Okay. So that's what I'm trying to say every time. You better cross check what you post. Okay? Don't repost something. Don't be, illiteral. If you are a researcher, do your research. This is what we are, here for. We are not here for, misinformation. Okay? So let's go back to the previous page, the previous, footage, this one. So this is what he's showing, and I'm saying that he's showing it this way and saying it's melted, or because it's the way it looks for us. But if you look closely, you'll see that it's not melted because of the phase of turning of this picture. So I found this place too, and I'm showing you how it looks right now, live and uncut. This is, I think, Turkey, so we have to look at it. In Kastamonu, rock tombs dating from the 7th century BC are belonging to the Paphlagonia period will be brought into tourism. I'm not buying all this stuff. I'm just reading what's written here so we can find out if that a melted building or just a caves and another caves thing. Okay. The project prepared by Provincial Directorate of Culture and Tourism was approved by Ministry of Culture and Tourism. The aim of the project is to make the region the center of attention in tourism. The rock tombs, which were built as an open-air sanctuary rather than rock tomb under the influence of Phrygian culture at the beginning of 7th century. By the way, I made a video on Turkey, and some things might clarify what I'm thinking about all this, official version. were landscaped after being idle for years, but later became an abandoned structure because it was not controlled, meeting with history again. The right section of the rock tomb, known as the oldest stone structure in Kastamonu, dates back to BC. It was built in the 7th century, and the left section was built in the 1st century AD during the Roman period. Rock tombs were built on a natural rock block by carving off at the height of 8 meters from the base. There are 3 entrances and 3 burial chambers in the tomb, which treats the coldness of death to all the bones of those who visit it. There are dead cellars on the sides inside the burial chambers. In the middle of the pediment on the front facade, a human and a wind lion on each side are carved in relief. So let's see the inside. Not a melted building. And why it looks melted is what he thinks, because the angle of that picture was different. Look at here. Angle was different. And there's a visual, I would say, hocus pocus scam in this picture. So you think that it's all like leaned up or twisted or something, but actually when you look at this in front, you see that that's just how this cave was cut here, and the columns are pretty straight. They don't see anything like twist or anything on those columns, just because of this little half circle. It looks this way if you look at from that angle, and like this, right? That's where they took this picture. They didn't show us this one. They probably took it from this website, the first guys who stole this from this picture. They didn't they didn't show us this inside. This is just clear, cut rock evidence. Look at this ugly work. Actually, this is ugly rock cut technique, primitive. So probably that rock could be soft and also could be a mining evidence at the period that they were cutting it. It could be rather soft. Who knows? But we don't have evidence of that. So, but we see that this is not a building. This is just a rock, guys. As what I was saying. Okay, we can go through all the pictures from his, from his account and see that these guys are misleading people and just bullshitting us without cross-checking the actual I would say evidence about the place, reading what it was, at least what the officials say. I don't know how dumb you're supposed to be if you're not cross-checking, just posting stuff just because it has some steps on it like this. This is crazy. Like Pedant Staircase, Scotland. So you saying this is melted? I doubt that. I doubt that. We have to question everything, guys, because if we don't question, we're gonna be fooled and I would say just always ridiculed by such people as Simon Dan and all these clowns. By the way, we restored uh, Mike Mike Wilkerson restored a video, and I help him to do what he's supposed to be doing to satisfy all this stuff. So the video is back, and the chat that we had lately, everything worked good for us. As I was saying, it was a no one-way ticket for the dude who was throwing the copyright strikes. Again, look at here. This is pure integration. Mountains and melted buildings, all of them. Here's a pocket of survival. It even is clear. This is integration. We can cross check it, of course, if you want, but this is pure integration. And if you look inside, you probably won't find anything. Okay. So let's talk about what I was planning to talk about with Mike Ferreira, not to waste his time. Okay, I was planning to talk about. I was planning to talk about terracones, and so um, this is the search results why terracones blow up. So I wanted to find exact evidence of blown terracones. What is terracone? Terracone looks exactly like a hill. Sometimes it has the structure of the pyramid, because when miners do the terracones, they can, um, direct the dump into certain direction, um, correct it and turn it and so on. So they can turn exact, equal pyramid hill. Why not? So let's see. And this article about some tragical explosions of terracones. One, I don't think that was an explosion, but actually no one knows what was happening. At least somebody who is trying to pretend to collect those witnesses, mm, reports what witnesses were claiming. And so there's a written report about at least 3 cases how terracones blow up. So let's find out, because this is not interesting to read this stuff, actually. I'm just saying I have it, and we're going to discuss it with Mike. And also, I was trying to Google the news to find if anyone was reporting something like this. And there's rather local, but still a federal newspaper, local publication of a federal newspaper. And this is a guy who is he was born in Chelyabinsk. This is Ural Mountains. This is mining region, whole bunch of mining complexes there. And he was raised in a family of miners. And right now he is a journalist and publicist. And they're just interviewing him about who he was in childhood and so on. And so there's a bunch of funny stories and so on. And let's see, where's this part about terracones? Yes. Many mines of Kopeisk are now closed. Do you think it's worth reviving them? So the journalist asked him. In the 19th, he answers, when the situation in the mines was extremely difficult, people even threw themselves into the shafts in protest, where were 2 or 3 of such cases. So probably people didn't receive their payments and were, committed suicide for that. Then apparently Peter Suman and asked Alexander Strukov to take over the mines, probably some other, boss, mining boss. As a result, the agony of this industry lasted another 10 years, but it couldn't last forever. The mines have closed. The mines have closed, and there may be more advantages than disadvantages to this. Yes, you see, a waste heap is a volcano. He's saying it. A waste heap is a volcano. So all those miners know it. The temperature inside is about 1,000 degrees. I confirmed it in witnesses. They all said it was like explosions and so on. In Donbass, some waste heaps serve as boiler rooms. It is worth digging a waste heap, and it is red. We call it burners. Of course, they call it in Russian, and it's not burners in Russian. In the village of Severny, such a waste heap exploded. People thought that the war has begun. And in England, it was, and with human sacrifice. So he probably heard something. He's not sure, but I found out that wasn't an explosion, but it was something that could be specifically, with terracone case. And now we have swift flies, which was not the case when the mines were working. So at night, it was seen how some waste heaps were shimmering with colored lights. This was the methane coming out. Living on volcanoes is not very comfortable, but now breathing in capes has become much easier because the mines are closed. So that's quite quite a witness, a professional, because he was born in the miners community. He was born in miners family, and he was born in a miners town, and he was living with it, breathing with it. He knew it all, and that's quite a witness, I would say. Okay, let's see. That's the circumstances, not circumstances, but aftermath, consequences of the explosion of the waste heap of the Dimitrov mine. So a bunch of these reports, and look at this. Doesn't this remind you what they show right now from Canary Islands, La Palma? Okay, so this is how terracones were looking prior, and now they're doing it. They flatten those tops because those tops explode, and they start to erupt all this stuff and even kill people. Okay, let's see. According to official data, as a result of displacement of the buildup rocks on dump number 1, this is how the incident was qualified. 32 people were injured, 18 of them died. Nobody knows the exact number of victims. The settlement has not been registered. As this incidents, the building standards were revised. It was forbidden to build buildings closer than 500 meters from the waste heap. The top of the waste heap was leveled with bulldozers. The dumping of the rock mass was stopped at the adjacent waste heap number 2, where they began to transport the rock in 1945. The rock was delivered by cable car, forming a flatter dump. So they started to do it flat. Also, they created an organization in prevention of such incidents. In Ukraine, 40 trusts and departments for the reclamation and extinguishing of waste dumps were created. So that was quite a problem for the miners region of Mirograd. And as what they say, on June 10, 1966, at 23 a.m., a piece of a total volume of 33,000 cubic meters split off the old waste heap of the Dimitrov mine of the Krasnoarmeysk Ugal Trust. Hot multi-ton boulders and loose mass of the incandescent rock slid into a residential village, covering about a dozen of residential buildings along with people. According to eyewitnesses, an avalanche of rock carried people along with their dwellings within a radius of up to 240 meters with the waste heap. 8 houses were buried by a landslide. Three more buildings were destroyed by 5-ton boulders that have rolled down from the waste heap. The temperature in the center of the waste dump, especially at the cone-shaped one, exceeds 1050 degrees Celsius. Okay. There's a beautiful song about Donetsk, a city with blue waste heaps, a city of silver poplars. But blue waste heaps are not a poetic metaphor. At night, you can see the glow over the waste heaps. The blue glow creates a high temperature inside the waste heap, as well as radiation from rare earth metals. And any impact of storms, flows on the waste heap can lead to catastrophic consequences. So I wouldn't say it's not well researched. So this form creates, is what they say, extreme heat, and all those volcanoes, as you know, look this way. And if we consider those volcanoes as the result of work of ancient miners, with all this information, as was stated just by me and these articles that you can also find by yourself and cross-check me. As I was saying 3 years ago, this could be miners' evidence. Those pyramidal hills, which are everywhere, those hills in Indonesia, chocolate hills or whatever. So this could be dumps of mining waste. In result or as a result of terraforming also. So people that might explain everything, that they created so much volcanoes on purpose because they wanted to create this landscape and didn't consider the properties of those rare metals, gases, water that can be, raining, and creating such reactions inside of these soils, and which will concentrate and ignite all those reactions to explosions. Okay, but that Mike Ferreira might have more information because he has researched volcanoes in his field of competence. We're gonna listen to what he says in on Saturday in the live chat. Okay, let's stop screen share. Let's see if we have any questions. Melted structures. Melted structures make me think we've been lied to you about our history. I don't know. Can't agree with that because I haven't seen enough evidence to consider that there are melted buildings. And the logic of melting a building is still unexplored, I would say, unresearched. And the research is not emergent. The research is stuck on claiming and reposting the footage from one to another melted buildings researchers, and that's it. Looks like a flood of vanilla pudding. Exactly. Think for ourselves. I think some mining, some alchemy, some melting, and some dustifying. Well, fair enough. As long as you don't claim that all of our people who disagree are, as what he says, blind, or like this. He was posting this guy, and I turned it back on him. Okay, what's next? Guess we're going to find out. Hey Philip, you were off for quite a long time. Busy in life? Mm, you probably missed. I'm always in Tunis. I post pictures on Instagram with the immediate information that I get. I have created another channel which was called Yellow Beach. You've probably seen some videos of that. So might as well subscribe to Telegram channel, which also started just recently. Okay. Also, potential explanation of your meltdown here in the suite from today. Not sure what he meant, but I probably said it all. Just cross check. These are all real photos, no, not Photoshop. Of course, but we have to find original of the photo and information about the object before we claim something, right? So perhaps you all you have to do is construct a parabolic dish, then direct the sun. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do just after the stream. I'm going to do that. Hi, Arjun. If doing it from space, imagine if space existed, I would, but we don't have any any proof of that yet. Only CGI and some crazy theories, which doesn't include any logics. By the way, I met a video today where Russian vids are the truth right now, and Richie from Boston were trying to discuss some recent case with DIRF deep inside the rabbit hole, um, and they were kind of disappointed. You might as well want to check that video too if you haven't watched it. If you somehow a flat earther, I don't know, maybe that's interesting. Would be interesting to see the real faces of all the people who've been in that discussion. Okay, it's pretty melted. Whether not melted rock bricks, as Cookie Martin would tell you. Who is Cookie Martin? You mean Martin Lidke? He's also on this melted shit? I never knew. Sorry. Martin, you are wrong. It's pretty melted, guys. Pretty, but not enough. Getting all those buildings, rocks up there was a challenge in its own. Perhaps it was a hard job to, put this masonry in the cracks, is what you mean. I hate the melting buildings idea. I don't hate melting buildings. I hate when people start calling me shill for no reason because I don't see melted buildings as they do. So that's what I was just, trying to put, you know, put an end to this discussion, at least for today, because they probably won't stop. And I'm still calling out anyone who wants to discuss it live. You can go ahead and chat with me. I'm here. I'm not hiding. I can go on for an hour or two and discuss your evidence if you have some. We can go step by step, but you better cross check it before you come to this discussion. This place shows me someone wanting to see out front with no way to sneak in the back. Perhaps. The only melted building I have ever seen was caused by a Molotov in a bouncy castle. Well, if you have an email, Chemsky's UK Volume 2 COVID-19 is BS, you can probably click on my channel description or somewhere and find out the email. It says for some purpose, maybe commercial purpose. I don't know what YouTube writes on email. It says like email for purposes something. You click on that and you see my email. You can send me that one melt building you see, because I just want to be prepared to smash all those melters. So I need to see it, because the last one that John Levy was presenting without cross-checking ended up to be a burned fort in Russia. Abkhazia is also close to where I go in summer, so I can go there anytime and cross-check it by myself, by the way. But we can see this place is cave system, so cognitive dissonance everywhere. Everyone here accept it. They melted, not 2 bits. Okay, we accept it. You like you are you happy? Be happy. Alex, are you are delusional. Looks like a collapsed and solidified mega structure which has been mud flooded and covered in mud, then a portion has broke off to expose what we see. If that is how it looks to you, let it be this way. But this way you will have some facilities inside. Okay, you don't have them, you have caves, so doesn't it up, right? Ha ha ha, it's not melted. Red pricks everywhere. Exactly. Something horrible happened. Call it the X Factor. I see horrors from melted buildings to windows below the ground. I even see evidence of giant tree remains. I respect those sharing this knowledge. Well, as I've said before, you can jump on me and chat with me live and show you evidence. I'm ready to research it. Why not? Or just cross check it first and you find it decent, email it to me, and I trust you. I'll post an excuse to all the melted buildings lovers and followers that I was wrong. Okay? They don't like it when you ask questions that go against their melted building idea. Well, what I actually say to them each and every time they contact me, I ask them, have you ever seen a melted rock, guys? Lady, person, whoever contacts me, I'm asking, have you seen a melted rock first? Probably they ignore this question each and every time, and or just don't mind it at all, which is not very comfortable for a discussion. It's not a dialogue when somebody's not answering the questions, just asking you the questions and claiming stuff that he doesn't want to, support or back by some evidence. And so this is like blah blah blah. I'm saying, contact me, go live with me. Why not? We'll make you famous. You'll be the first one who will disprove what I said, because I've had so many people trying to disprove what I said. Um, I can count internally, and nobody succeeded actually. Just if you remember anybody who disclaimed what I said and was right, just right now in the chat. Maybe I forgot it, but not yet that I remember of somebody who did that. Okay, bricks to the dome. Looking at the ash from the bush bear, when wet it goes where it's smothering. I'm not a American, and I don't actually understand sometimes both Berserker Bear and some, other guys that he's chatting with. Sometimes I don't understand them because I'm not exactly in this slang stuff right now. I haven't been to USA for 25 years, quite a long time. So I don't actually understand this. So please try to be more classical. Sometimes maybe use movie language. That would be fair enough for me to understand what you're saying. Okay, I agree, and they don't overlap. They have very distinct visual differences. Probably this comment. Sometimes horrible happened. I see horrors from melted buildings to windows below the ground. Okay, no, don't understand it. Did anybody coherently explain the X Factor event? Probably Jerry. Um, in the pauses when he's not cussing and calling everybody crazy, he probably had enough chances to explain that. So if you rewind it to that moment when he starts actually talking about something not demagogical but on the topic, you find that exact explanation that you're searching for. 1111 says that they're obviously not melted. We're on the same side, buddy. Just Google for solar micronova, how it works and how it interacts with water that is in the air. Basically, a microwave where atmosphere is an oven and everything else is your pizza. Would be nice to see your video on that. That would be just best video. Probably you'll be famous because Simon then will find you and watch out, watch out. He's gonna debunk you very fast. Yeah, Spat team write so many comments. Okay, let's see if anyone relates to me. Oh, has anyone seen a red brick melt? I've seen. Let me show it to you. Let me show it to you. Let's see. Just a second. Just a second. This is my video. Probably showed it many times. So we can just fast forward it. So this is so-called Zverev's fort. Was, it's kind of an age of a star fort. If you look at it from above, look at this. But no, it's an artificial island which was created to stop a navy attack from the Baltic Sea towards possible location of Kronstadt and St. Petersburg. Probably it could be remains of some ancient civilization that I was calling antique civilization. But the brick construction, um, yes, it might look that it has some Tartarian red brick, but red brick is everywhere, so we cannot call it exactly the Tartarian red brick or something. Like we cannot call everything Tartarian. So could be influenced by Tartarians, all this technique of red brick, but we can see granite here. We can see so many other things. So I highly doubt that Tartarians somehow related to this construction. But who knows? Actually, we are not led to research everything, dig deep, and so on. But what we see right now is something rather modern, which could be related to the end of 19th century, beginning of 20th century, and so on. So this fort was used to protect the entry. And yes, it has this glaze, as you can see. Let me slow down a little bit because we're gonna see. some glaze soon. Yes, if we go inside of this place, if we go inside of this place, we'll find out that it was on fire, because some of those rooms remain rather safe and didn't burn, but some were burning as hell. As you can see, some are safe and sound, nothing happened to them. So it's not a meltdown attack or something. No, it was an inside facility fire. As what they say, they were keeping stocking ammunition there, a bunch of explosives, and right now all this stuff is melted bricks. This is a glazed formation. If you light it on certain angle, it starts to reflect, and that's the glaze I'm talking about, because both rocks and bricks, they have this glaze. Eventually, if they burn for a certain period, to start melting, and the temperature during this fire was very high. If you ask me why I'm so sure that it wasn't fire, that it wasn't a meltdown for some reason, or maybe some plasma device which is exploded during that, because some of this facility is safe and some is burned. So doesn't add up, right? Why didn't it burn itself? Because they were trying to put the fire down, as what they say. And actually, if we fast forward to the part where I found out about this fire, over here, you see big view like this. It's also photo pictures of the same place. As you can see, same. It's all, if you reflect light on certain angle, it starts to reflect back, and you can see this glaze is shining. Some of it is a little bit dusty, but still, although almost 100 years passed, it's still shining. I'm not 100, half 50 years, 50 years passed, and it's still shining. Okay, and that's the original footage of that fire that was filmed. So they were trying to put it down. So it was burning for several days. Of course, it was not very big problem for government, because it kind of didn't matter for them what was going on back there in the sea somewhere. So they probably sent some people to, maybe military people, to put the fire down, and that's it. But didn't succeed, obviously. So this is how melted brick looks like, if you picture it with good quality. And John Levy didn't cross-check it; he just put it in the video saying, "Oh, this is evidence that brick and that meltdown or something." I'm not actually sure what he said. You might as well go to his video and check it. But he was, more close to be sure it's evidence of melted, because he showed some other evidences. So that's what I'm saying. Always cross check, guys. We have to be objective, and we see this is how it was melting, because it was on huge temperature. As what I was saying right now about terracones with temperature 1500 degrees Celsius is a huge temperature inside of terracone. Just imagine. That rock exploded because of that. Exploded because of that. Okay. Let's see if we have any more questions. I think the link didn't show up in the chat. What's the channel name? Think the link didn't show up in chat. What's the channel name? No. I don't know what you're asking. The government are currently removing the Jimpri pyramid because they want to put a highway through there. Perhaps. I think it was an acid rain that brought the structure down. Sometimes you better not think, guys. Because if you think of the acid rain can put a structure down, what type of acid that should be? The acid from the Alien movie, where, that was falling from his mouth, the alien that was burning all this spaceship down. It's imaginary acid. Just imagine what type of acid should melt rock or make it look this way. Nice to see you too. Boom, boom, boom. Then came the ash and the moisture in the air that covered it. Oh, there are pictures of melted rock, but who knows all theory? There are pictures of melted rocks, and it looks, all the melted rocks look shiny. We can all agree something happened in the past to the buildings, structures, city, etc. Yes, we can agree. It's like I'm for all the good and against all the evil, and I'm with you because that's right. I see. Haha, sorry, I'm not on any social platforms. It's just YouTube, so can't follow your activity there. Sorry about that. You do not see much red brick with roundness. It looks more decayed. Proved by evidence and scientifically that these newbies are on the bandwagon of fantasy. Thanks, Morning Glory. Napoleon 34. There's evidence of antique building that is in Australia. Part of the building is melted, so it can be built. So it can't be built on old rock. Look up Tartaria, Australia Facebook page. Okay, I'll take a look. But recently I watched a video of some Tartarian guy. Oh, Tartarian. Not calling anyone Tartarian, by the way. Some Australian bloggers who were discussing Tartaria and something like this. And on some certain time code, I found out that just fast forwarded to just to see what they're talking about, because it wasn't like very interesting in the beginning. So I, tried to see what they're talking about and fast forwarded to like 30 minutes, and I hear they say about empty cities, not empty cities that I was showing, where you can't see any people on the photographs, but the empty cities of China. Yeah. If you haven't heard about that story, we might go over this empty cities again, because there's a bunch of misinformation also, and we have to understand that people need to know the truth. You cannot just spread bullshit in the internet and figure that nobody is gonna, tell you you're wrong. So I might take a look at the Tartaria, Australia. By the way, Tartaria wasn't in Australia, so never was in Australia, I would say. There are old Indian temples with huge chains made out of stone. They must have been able to melt stone back then. What about um, have you watched my videos about how they actually create some details from for pipes and some from all this which my chat with this Berserker Bear probably you have a thumbnail where we like kind of fight on the swords. You'll find it easy on my channel. Take a look at that, and you understand what I'm saying. So there's a technology to create rock and put it in any form. So they have stoves which melt in rocks inside and duct in them. And at that certain moment, I didn't realize that somebody will ask me questions anymore after that chat, by the way, because I was showing exact technology of rock melting, how they do it right now. I was, even putting out the hypothesis of what would be a possible um, weapon type to do all this meltdown, right? It's supposed to be something like induction device, like what we have today. So that would be the most effective. But no, we don't see melted buildings yet. But we can do melting in the stoves and see how the melting rock looks like, what is its properties and so on. It's way better than plastic and the rest. Ghost cities are enormous. Well, if you knew the truth about those ghost cities, you wouldn't be that, much surprised. It's just all about hype when the people just, buying the thumbnail, the title, and they don't care about the rest information. They just, oh, that's incredible. I'm gonna watch that video till the end and so on. But actually, you don't get any information, only demagogical. mm, Um, Blah 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 blah, and actually non information because it's all misleading. Okay, let's see. It's not fantasy, it's creativity. Your brain has to grab on, then you can begin to look for the whys. We all started somewhere. Exactly. How about many large obvious petrified buildings in Utah, Philip? I knew as a child they weren't natural. How about many large obvious petrified buildings in Utah? Haven't seen any petrified buildings from Utah. Well, how am I supposed to look for them? Just maybe you know, give me a location, something. Like it's supposed to be called something. If you know about them, it's supposed to be some tourist place and be named somehow. Okay, let's wait for Aaron to write us. No, I know Utah is in USA. I was pretty close to Utah and know what Utah is. But can you call me exact place where those buildings are located? It's probably some national park and named something, or near some city, or I don't know. Or should I just Google right now, uh, petrified buildings in Utah, and I'll find them. Let's just see if I find them. Why not? Petrified. What I get is only Escalante Petrified Forest State Park. It doesn't show any buildings. So, do you have exact place? I don't see it. Well, you can always find me later or write in the comment if you find it under this video after the live is done. You can always write the comment and write me the place so I can look it up. And I promise I will do take a look at that, and maybe on Saturday chat with Mike Ferreira I will talk on it. Oh, the meltdown crew created a tight echo chamber which is hard to pursue even with good evidence. Oof. Can't understand what do you mean by tight echo chamber? I'm not persuading him if you think I'm persuading. Oh, they scattered it all about in the desert. Oh, on Year of Cat album cover, they won't admit their petrified buildings. Year of Cat album. Year. Let's see. Year. Year of the Cat. Year of the Cat. I don't see anything. Well, let's not just waste the others' time. You can contact me on Facebook and just send me the link via email, and we can do it. Okay. Okay, guys. Thanks a lot for joining, and see you guys later on Saturday. Let's hope it's gonna be very good chat, and I hope Mike will make it. Okay. See you later. Bye.